Good morning, welcome back to the channel. This morning we're out in Putnam County again at Cornstalk Covered Bridge. Built in 1917 by J.A. Britton. It is the shortest of the 9 covered bridges in Putnam County, Indiana. At just 80 feet. It crosses Cornstalk Creek. You know, and doing a little bit of research on it, it appears that Cornstalk Covered Bridge and Cornstalk Creek have some tie back to an Indian chief from this area. Didn't really do a lot of research on it, but thought it was kind of interesting, though, so I thought I'd mention it. This morning we're out here doing what we did in our last video. We're testing a 24-105, and we're practicing exposed to the right. Now, my last video I posted pictures that were all exposed to the right, anywhere from 1/3 of a stop up to 1 stop. I'm not going to kid you, I really didn't like it. I was really surprised by the outcome, though. It wasn't terrible. Did require a little bit more work on the on the Lightroom side, just trying to bring things back in, but you know, it's something to give it a shot, and that's what I've been trying to do. So right here this morning doing the exact same thing. You know, the sun's coming up, as you can see over here behind me. You know, the sun's coming up. You know, the bridge is here in front of us. You know, here's the back of my camera, and as you can see, you know, we are, you know, basically at this particular moment 1/3 of a stop over exposed. Here's 1 stop over exposed. All right, we're going to play around here with a few shots, you know, and then we'll get back together and we'll talk a little bit about what we're seeing. So stay tuned. Give me a couple minutes here, take a couple shots, and I'll get back to you. All right, so let's talk about composition, at least while we're doing this. Now, when you're trying to photograph a covered bridge, believe it or not, it's actually difficult to sometimes come up with an acceptable composition, right? Because you're, you know, believe it or not, you're kind of limited depending on where you're at. You know, like in this particular situation, I mean, it looks pretty nice. I mean, here, if you look at the back of my camera, I mean, you can see it. You know, this is not a terrible setting. However, you know, when you get out to one of these places, you find a lot of times that you're surrounded by private property, so you're limited to basically the road, and that's kind of the case I've got right here this morning. I mean, everything around me is posted as private property and no trespassing, so I'm pretty much stuck here on the road, whether I like it or not, on either side of the bridge. You know, just so happens this side seems to be a little bit more photogenic. On the other side, you know, the road comes up into the bridge. Now, again, this bridge is still in service, which is a great thing. You know, so I drove across it. Somewhere here behind me, you should be able to see my Jeep, somewhere back over here. All right, so I drove across this, you know, just this morning coming here. But, you know, you've got to try to abide by what people ask for. I mean, if they want you to stay off their property, then by all means, we need to be cognizant of that. We need to do it, and I try to do that in all instances. You know, so try to obey what they're looking for. You know, and still try to come up with a composition to shoot. Now, again, we're out here, you know, this is what, first weekend in April. It's April 3rd, all right, and it's, you know, early morning, and it's, you know, whopping 30 degrees out. Again, pretty much nothing on the trees. I think a few things are starting to bud out, but, you know, it's going to be a while before we really have any leaves, and certainly this is another spot that in the fall, you know, the color would be spectacular. But this morning, it's really just whatever you can get out of the sky and then whatever's here. You know, and if you look around, you can see, you know, this is, you know, fairly nice area. I think in the fall, again, the colors would be spectacular, but again, limited by what we can do because of the, you know, private property around us. Luckily, this morning we got a little bit of pink in the sky, which kind of helps. So now back to, you know, the 24-105. Still, you know, I've only used this the second time I've had it out, so I don't really have a lot to tell you at this particular moment. I mean, it seems to be all right, but I don't really have a definitive, I love it, I hate it, or anything at that point, or at this point, I'm sorry. But it's still something that I'm working on and something I'm out trying to use. Now, as far as exposing to the right, you know, that, something that I'm not sure I'm hardly in love with at this particular moment, but I have, at least in my first series, as I said a little bit earlier, you know, I did see that there were some benefits to it. So we're going to continue trying to play with this and test it out here over the next couple trips, just to see, you know, what I like, what I don't like. Now, taking a look here at the back of my camera, you can see I've kind of moved a little bit, trying to capture a little bit of the creek over here to the side. You know, there's pink in the sky over here, and again, we're sitting at over 1 stop now as the light comes up. All right, as you can see, you know, the grid's changing here on the back as I move it. I'm going to stay somewhere around 2/3 of a stop overexposed. You know, so we're at 2 seconds at ISO 100 f11. You know, let's see, what do we get out of that? You know, hard to tell, because again, it's pretty light. Hopefully once we work on it a little bit in Lightroom, we'll be able to pick up some of the pink that's over here in the sky. Not 100% sure we'll capture all of it, but again, you know, got to try new things if you want to get any better at anything. You can't always stick to the same thing. Now, I say that, but yet I seem to always shoot f11 ISO 100. I'm going to have to work on that too. That's going to be another personal project here as we go later into the year, you know, to try to get out of that. I just get comfortable with f11 and ISO 100. I like to keep the noise down. You know, when I'm doing landscapes, I always try to shoot in low ISO. You know, f11 seems to be a good sweet spot for lens sharpness, so I try to stick with that. You know, I do shoot a little up and I do shoot a little down, but you know, from that anywhere, you know, f18 and down to f8. But for the most part, I try to stick with where I'm at. Maybe I need to, you know, push my comfort zone on that as well. You know, we'll keep working on it and keep trying. You know, I think I'll end the video here. Thanks everybody for coming along. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, you know, help build the channel. We're pushing closer to 100 subscribers now. Let's keep working on that. Love to get above 100. Love to get continue to bring people in. You know, make sure you comment. Make sure you know, work with, you know, do those things so it brings more attention to the channel through the algorithms of YouTube, which would be greatly appreciated. As always, you know, just remember, you know, get outside and enjoy life. You know, mornings like this are hard to come by. You know, they're not every morning is this great, but you know, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming back. Glad to have you along. Take care, everybody.